evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, Office of the Special Prosecutor concludes investigations into the controversial Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Limited deal, which is the GRA and the SML deal, as office readies to press charges against the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority Dr. Ammishaddai, Owusu-Amoah, and 5 others. Details of all that coming up in a moment. And later, 28 members of parliament were cited for absenteeism, and that was done without the speaker's consent. Meanwhile, the House was nearly forced to adjourn due to a lack of quorum in the chamber on Thursday. Tonight, we will take you through the list of repeated absentees from Ghana's parliament. Be part of the show. Let's hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight on our Facebook page where we are streaming. Just look for 3FM 92.7 and on YouTube. Before the details though, let's bring you some news summaries.
Yes, please. National Service Authority, because their former director of Asiedu-Dartey has been granted bail of 800 million Ghana cedis with 6 sureties to be justified with landed properties. Earlier, Asiedu-Dartey pleaded not guilty to 14 counts of stealing, causing financial loss to the state and money laundering. As part of the bail conditions, the sureties are to submit their IDs to the court registry. Asiedu-Dartey is to report to the NIB every first and third Wednesday of the month. Additionally, his name is to be placed on the stop list of the Ghana Immigration Service. The Bono Regional Police Command has interdicted some officers who were seen in a viral video taking bribes from motorists near the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire border in the Bono region. A statement issued by the Public Relations Officer of the Bono Regional Police Command, Chief Inspector Thomas Akila, said investigations have been initiated into the incident. The statement added that the officers involved have been identified and interdicted to allow for a thorough and impartial investigation into the incidents. A tragic fire incident at Agona-Mankrong has claimed 1 life despite the intervention of the Ghana National Fire Service from the Agona and Sabah Fire Station in the Central Region on Wednesday. According to an official statement posted on Facebook by the Ghana National Fire Service, fighters responded promptly to a distress call reporting a fire outbreak at a residential property in Agona-Mankrong. The crew got to the scene at approximately 11:34 a.m. where they found that the blaze had already engulfed one of the 8 rooms in the building. Members of the public had managed to bring the situation partially under control before the arrival of the fire team. Finally, the Minister of Health, Kwabena Kando, has accused his predecessor, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, of overpaying the contractor of the controversial Lightwave Health Information Management System project. Appearing before the Public Accounts Committee on Thursday, October 30, 2025, he reiterated what he described as serious irregularities in the execution of the project and urged Dr. Okoboy to refrain from commenting on the matter. This is on our website, 3news.com. Do well to visit them. Martin.
Thank you very much for the news summaries. Let's settle for the details now. And the big one has to do with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He ended his press conference a few minutes ago where he updated the nation on investigations into the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, that is the SML deal with the Ghana Revenue Authority. And it says the office has also said that it concluded its investigations into controversial contract between the Ghana Revenue Authority and SML, and the findings point to irregularities, conflict of interest, and a deliberate attempt to profit from public office. According to the OSP, there are no genuine need, and it clearly were issues of self-serving decisions made by some key individuals who were in key offices. So we are going to go through some of the key highlights of what the OSP told the nation today a few minutes ago. And key pointers we extracted from what the OSP said include that investigators interviewed about 31 persons and relied on expert opinions before concluding that the deal breached multiple procurement laws. SML was incorporated in January 2017, just days after Ken Ofori-Atta became Minister of Finance by a timber merchant named Evans Edusei. 4 months later, it was introduced for sole sourcing or sole approved by the then Ghana Revenue Authority boss Kofi to provide revenue assurance services. The OSP describes the arrangement as a masterfully crafted scheme intended to benefit certain individuals and officials, and by December 2024, more than 1 billion had been paid to SML. The contract replaced West Blue Consulting and bypassed the Public Procurement Authority, and the OSP concludes that the entire process was irregular, unnecessary, and illegal. So let's listen to some of the key issues that the OSP touched on while addressing the nation a few minutes ago.
A little over 4 months after its incorporation, this company that had stated its services at trading services and import and export of general goods was presented to the PPA by the Commissioner General of the GRA, Emmanuel, Kofi, seeking approval to sole source SMEL as a service provider for enhanced classification, valuation, and risk management platform in the customs setup. These events, the assumption of office by Mr. Ofori-Atta, the incorporation of SMEL by Mr. Adusei, and the application for sole sourcing of SMEL by seemed unrelated at first glance. However, a closer look at subsequent events from June 2017 to 14 February 2024, when Mr. Ofori-Atta's tenure ended, show a tightly knit and non-coincidental association of the prior identified events as the precursors of a masterful and mischievously crafted scheme designed by Mr. Ofori-Atta immediately upon assumption of office and throughout his tenure as the chief promoter, patron, and sponsor of the company, and the previously unseen power that unlawfully force-fed the company into the revenue assurance drive of GRA through a series of reckless decision-making and management and flagrant violation of statute through the use of public office for profits, contrary to Section 179C of the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, and by directly and indirectly influencing the procurement process to obtain an unfair advantage in the award of procurement contracts to the company, contrary to Section 92(2)(b of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Act 663, with the pliant and avaricious and questioning compliance of 2 successive GRA Commissioner Generals.
So you had the voice of Mr. Kissie Jabeng, who is the Special Prosecutor of the Republic. Let's speak to Eric Maona-Egbeta, a reporter who was at that media conference with the OSP. Maona, thank you for your time. To start with, I'm sure many who followed may not necessarily be able to understand. So can you just give us a brief summation of what exactly the Special Prosecutor was talking about today?
Right, and so Martin, you may have mentioned bits and pieces in terms of what it is that was detailed for us today. And this SML scandal, if we can call it that, was occasioned by investigative work done by 3 investigative journalists with the Fourth Estate. And subsequently, they petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor for onward investigation and prosecution of the individuals believed to have been behind the elaborate scheme, which now, according to the Office of the Special Prosecutor, was a scheme with the utmost supervision of the Finance Minister to siphon monies of the state. Now, we know that as at a time when the details of this investigative report became public, then President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo caused audit firm KPMG to undertake some work with respect to the work that had been undertaken by the agreement signed between the GRA and SML. And so, upon that work which was done, we know that KPMG revealed a number of developments with respect to what happened. The OSPs also, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, explains that they took on board the work which was carried through by KPMG in all of their investigative work in going about everything that happened. Now, subsequently, their investigations in summation have revealed that yes, bits and pieces of the KPMG reports reveal that yes, there was no need for the contract to have been signed to start off with. But certain portions of that KPMG report, which amongst many other things says that along the downstream sector, there was some work done by SML, which meant that they could have been paid. The OSP says in all of the investigation, there is no evidence of work which was done, which brings to the realization that some money should have gone to them. And as such, in the prosecution, which is expected to happen when charges are filed before the end of November, they will, amongst many other things, seek to recover some of these monies. But 6 individuals are expected to be charged, which include Ken Ofori-Atta and 2 former commissioners of the Ghana Revenue Authority. We can take a listen to the Special Prosecutor detail who these individuals are and what is expected to happen to them.
The outcome of the investigation is that the OSP will charge the following persons with various corruption and corruption-related offenses before the end of November 2025. 1. Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta, former Minister of Finance. 2. Ernest Akori, Chef de Cabinet to Kenneth Nanayao Ofori-Atta as Minister of Finance. 3. Emmanuel Kofi, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 4. Ammishaddai Owusu-Amoah, former Commissioner General of Ghana Revenue Authority. 5. Isaac Krenzel, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and General Manager of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. 6. Kwejo Damwa, former Commissioner of the Customs Division of Ghana Revenue Authority and Member of Parliament for German South constituency. As part of the process, the OSP will seek to recover the financial loss caused to the Republic from the persons listed above. Also, the OSP will recover a total amount of 125 million cedis from SML by way of a disgorgement of unjust enrichment of overpayment by the return of the benefit of this amount it obtained unfairly at the expense of the Republic.
And that is the voice of Kisie Jabeng, OSP. Mana, in wrapping up, I think one other issue that many are very interested in is whether or not efforts have advanced in the extradition attempt by the OSP to get him to Ghana. What did he say about that?
Well, in speaking to that, closely associated to that is also concern about the relationship between the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the person, that is the Special Prosecutor, as well as the Office of the Attorney General, and then the person being the Attorney General himself, whether or not there is some bad blood over the presence of a docket which should have been forwarded to the Attorney General's office to speed up or help in the extradition efforts currently underway and kick-started by the OSP. We need to put that on record to have Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, who now we understand is the prime individual behind this SML GRA agreement and the respective procurement breaches. He says that there's no bad blood between them. In fact, they continue in active collaboration and makes the point that they at no point in time caused Ghanaians to believe that the process was going to be smooth sailing and will not take time. He alluded to the AG's presser from this week, or was it last week, where he, amongst many other things, spoke to criminal investigations or financial investigations requiring time, that they, as well as the Office of the Special Prosecutor, will require time to be able to go through the entire processes. But there's active collaboration between them, and they work in the interest of Ghanaians, even though personalities may clash because of the fact that they have different ways of doing things. But at the end, there's no bad blood, and they are seeking to work together for the interests of the Ghanaian people.
All right. Thank you very much for that update. Eric Maonai-Better is my colleague who was at the press conference that just ended a few minutes ago, where the OSP updated the nation regarding their investigations into the SML and the Ghana Revenue Authority deal. We'll bring you the specific issues that were said, or the right words, specific words of the OSP in a moment. But let's speak to Adam Senanu, who is an anti-corruption campaigner, on this particular press conference. Mr. Senanu, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on 3FM. To start with, I'm sure you followed. Do you also get the conviction that the OSP, based on what he has told us, has concluded his investigation and prosecution should commence? Hello, Mr. Senanu, can you hear me? Well, we seem to be having a challenge with Mr. Senanu's line. Let me give it another try. Mr. Senanu, are you there? Can you hear me? Yes, I can. Mr. Senanu. Right, kindly unmute for us. Let's give it another try and see if we can. Our connection to you is clear. Okay, so I was asking, or my first question to you was, I'm sure that you had followed what the Special Prosecutor had said, and do you get the conviction?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now as well. Thank you. I was asking whether you are also confident that based on what the Special Prosecutor told us today, at least now,
Microphone is muted.
We can start the prosecution process. Unfortunately, we seem to be having a slight challenge with the connection to Adam Senanu, who is an anti-corruption campaigner and co-chair for Citizens Movement Against Corruption. And he was one of the key voices that have been speaking quite clearly and loudly about corruption challenges in the country, and that the state institutions needed to up their game in ensuring that we nip this concern of corruption in the bud. And specific cases like this one involving the former finance minister, we needed to ensure we had a watertight case. Well, based on what the Office of the Special Prosecutor told us today, they have concluded their investigation. They have worked very closely with other key partners and have come together with their case, and in the next few days we'll be taking it to court. Let's give it one more try and see whether we can hear Adam Senanu now. My producers are working around the clock to ensure that we have a clearer line to him. Mr. Senanu. I
can hear you now.
Yes, we can also hear you. Thank you. So I don't know whether you had my question, but just for purposes of surety, let me ask it again. Are you convinced, based on what the OSP said, now prosecution can commence?
Well, I think that the OSP was working towards this. So clearly they will be moving on to the next stages from this point. My understanding is that they were trying to clean up the information and then proceed. So I assume that they are ready to proceed.
Did the OSP say anything that came to you as a surprise? And I'm asking this on the back of the fact that for several months we have known about the investigation that was ongoing, where he touched on, for instance, even the date that the SML was incorporated, the very early weeks of the new administration coming in, and the kinds of contracts they superintended over, the fact that some contracts that were already existing had to be cancelled so SML could get it. And long story short, today he says that a lot of irregularities have been found out, and he thinks that now we have a watertight case to take to court. Did anything come to you as a surprise in his submission?
Well, yes, the extent of the involvement of our former finance minister, the meetings held in his presence, the fact that there was a constant flow. I mean, he was part and parcel of the information loop. So at all times, he was, well informed about what was going on, and obviously, therefore, this was something that was under his purview. He was privy to all the information that was under his purview. I think the extent of involvement simply surprised me, because these things at the technical level, you leave the technical people to handle them, so that if there are any procedural matters, if there are any legal matters, administrative, they are responsible at the end of the day. But the minister choosing to be involved, that was a big surprise.
Right. So clearly there is some level of complicity there, but it's left to the courts to decide. I'm sure that's the position you're sharing as well.
Absolutely. The word I would have used was the involvement, therefore, clearly underscores a complicity, which one would not expect under these circumstances. I mean, yes, all the contracts had to be changed and so on and so forth already was bad enough. But typically, you would have technical people handle this so that they are following the rules. If the rules are not followed and you yourself as minister were.
Right. Well, so there seemed to be a freeze in your in the submission we are getting from you, but maybe as that unfreezes, my last question to you, Mr. Senanu, would be that the big one many were expecting to hear was efforts to bring back Ken Ofori-Atta to stand trial. The other side of that argument is that, look, with or without him, the trial should still go ahead. Where do you stand on this? And did you also get from him that efforts that have been put in place are definitely going to bring Ken Ofori-Atta into the jurisdiction to stand trial? Right, unfortunately, our connection to Adam Senanu has gone kaput on us, but we'll see what else we can do to try and get a clearer connection to him. This is still 3FM 92.7. Earlier, my colleague Eric Mawana-Egbeta, who was at the presser, was telling us about the expose that was given by the Special Prosecutor regarding efforts to bring back Ken Ofori-Atta from the United States. And if you heard the words of the Special Prosecutor, he himself said that there was no way from all their investigations and their intel that Ken Ofori-Atta wanted or wants to come back into Ghana. Let's listen to him.
At the OSP, we do not talk lightly. We knew what we were waiting for, and we have them fully now. We have uncovered all that is contained on the computer servers and the hard drives. And now on Monday, with the gracious assistance of our major foreign partner, we have the validation of the evidence that we had way back in March 23rd. On 2nd June 2020, we triggered the extradition request because by March, as we said, we had all the evidence we needed. We only needed official validation of them. And that is why we triggered the extradition request on 2nd June 2020 through the Chief of Staff. The past few weeks, we are once again drawing negative flag that we who put him on our list of wanted persons, that the OSP that declared him wanted, that the OSP that declared him a fugitive from justice, that the OSP that went to Interpol in record time of 48 hours and placed him on Interpol's red notice, we were stalling the case and that we were wasting time. But once again, as I said, we knew what we were doing and we knew what we were waiting for. And last week when the Attorney General addressed the media, he said something very poignant. He said, these financial investigations require time and patience. And we ask, give us that regard of time and patience we will deliver the results wanted like this. And as I said, before the expiration of November 2025, we will charge all these persons that I listed before the criminal courts.
And so we all wait to see when the OSP will be going to court. And again, there was the question of how his office, as the OSP's office, is collaborating with the Attorney General. And from all indications, he says they are working very closely together, and that plans and processes are far advanced in ensuring that they bring the perpetrators to justice. All right, so that's the big news in Ghana. Another big one happening in the Ashanti region today has to do with an unfortunate fire outbreak at the China Mall in Kumasi. We are told that a number of individuals are injured as a result of the fire, which is rapidly spreading. Let's quickly go and speak to correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar, who's been there right from the moment news broke about the fire outbreak at the China Mall in Kumasi. Ibrahim, thank you for joining us. For those who may now be hearing this, can you kindly update us on how long this has been and what's the latest? Are the fire service officers able to douse the fire?
Well, Martin, as I speak to you, they've been able to bring it under control, even though we still have portions of the mall that is still burning because of the intensity of the fire. We were told it happened around 3 p.m., and as I speak, fire service personnel are still there and trying to make sure they bring it under control completely. So I can say today, Thursday, has not been too pleasant for the owners of the China City Mall. This is a facility that was commissioned less than 6 months ago, somewhere in June this year. And for them to have suffered such a major fire outbreak is something that has cost them a lot. I can tell you almost everything in the shop has been burnt beyond salvage. In fact, the entire facility, for now, the next step that the Kumasi mayor who arrived not long ago is looking at is for them to even pull down the entire structure. Millions of Ghana cedis have now been turned into ashes. So it's quite an emotional day for them. Some of the Chinese who were there, and some of them crying uncontrollably, and they are being consoled, but there's nothing that they will be able to survey there. So a lot more people are there. They watch helplessly because of the kind of items that they sell there, combustible materials, almost everything that you need. So it even intensify or allow the fire to spread quickly. In fact, for now, we cannot be able to say what exactly caused the fire, but they believe that it may be as a result of some electrical fault, because according to some of the workers, it started from one shop, and before they could even call the fire service, it has spread quickly to the other areas. Fortunately, there hasn't been any casualty, because at the time the incident is said to have happened, we were told that they were on break, so most of the workers were not there. And when it started, people were able to move to safety before the entire place was engulfed in fire.
Wow, very sad report there. But talk to us, give us a mental picture. Give us a mental picture of where exactly the shop is located and where other structures or adjoining structures also affected. Ibrahim, can you hear me? Hello, Ibrahim. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have Ibrahim's attention at the moment, although we know he's still on the line. So, Ibrahim, I'm going to give it one more shot, which is try and see if you can get your attention. All right, so we'll try and connect to him again. But what we do know is that the fire service officers are doing their best. He says that the fire has been brought under control, although there are still smoke billowing from portions of the structure. And he has also confirmed that the regional minister and mayor are there to console with the Chinese owners of the shop. It's been barely 6 months since the structure was open to the public to purchase and buy things. And you can tell that this is extremely devastating, considering the fact that we are, about a month and a half away from Christmas, the festive season, where lots of people would have wanted to go in there to buy items. But Ibrahim has joined us again. Ibrahim, I was asking that, is it just the China Mall building or structure that was affected, or adjoining ones have also been affected by this fire?
Well, for now, it's only the China City Mall that has been affected, because when the fire service personnel came, their strategy was to ensure that the fire doesn't spread from the mall to other surrounding houses that were very close by. So they are still there, like I said. For inside, they've been able to bring it under control, but back of the mall, you could still see the fire there and even thick smoke billowing. So they are around, just that they are unable to enter inside the mall, like I said, because of the intensity and even the structural integrity. As we speak, it is likely it can even cave in at any given time. So they have been warned, so they are fighting the fire from some distance, just to make sure that they will also be able to protect themselves. But like you rightly mentioned, because we are even approaching Christmas, there were a lot of wares that were stocked in the shop. We were told that just last week, large trailers came there just to bring new items to the mall. And as we speak, everything has been turned into ashes.
And for those who do not know, finally, Ibrahim, those who do not know, where exactly in Kumasi is the China Mall?
So in Kumasi, we have two China malls. One is at Ahojo, then the other is around Santasi roundabout. That is the one I said. It was open not long ago. The Ahojo one has been functioning, I think, for more than a year now, but this came just in June, and we are in November, October, and everything is gone.
Very sad there, but thank you so much for this report. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti regional correspondent, updating us on the fire incident that happened about 2 hours ago in Ahojo, where we are told that the China City Mall caught fire, and fortunately no life was lost. We're told that almost all staff were out of the building before the fire started, but almost everything that was in there ready for sale has been destroyed by the fire, and millions of Ghana cedis turned into ashes by this inferno. And the fire service, we are told, have been able to bring the inferno under control, but there's still some amount of smoke, so they would be there for some time until they are sure that everything is totally dealt with. And then, like he also said, the mayor is saying that they just may have to bring the entire structure down, bring it down, as in break it, and then have to rebuild it hopefully later. But very unfortunate, this story about the fire incident at the Kumasi, specifically the China Mall at Ahojo, where everywhere in the house is gone. If you want the pictures, you can go to our website, 3news.com, or even if you're watching us on Facebook, where we are streaming this bulletin, you can also get to see some of the videos and images of that fire incident in Kumasi. This is Hot Edition on 92.73 FM. Let's come back to Accra here and go to the House of Parliament, because some of the members of Parliament have become truants and do not like to go to Parliament. And this is becoming quite concerning. So yesterday, if you followed our bulletin, the Speaker of Parliament said that in following the regularity of how irregular some of the members of Parliament have become, he is tempted to now sanction them. So today, he has published the names of some of these individuals. And the Parliament published a list of 28 members who repeatedly absented themselves from sitting without permission from the first quarter of 2025. The attendance audit covering 43 sittings between January and March revealed that some members of parliament missed more than 20 sessions without authorization. The report released by the Parliamentary Service is part of efforts to promote transparency and accountability in the legislature. It also expected to renew public debate about the need for stricter enforcement of attendance rules and possible sanctions for absenteeism, as outlined under Article 97(1)(c) of the Constitution and Parliament's own standing orders. Joining me in studio now is Wisdom Safo with our research team here at Media General. He's joined us with the names of some of the MPs who have become truants. Wisdom, thank you for joining us. So walk us through the names, who and who have been captured on this list.
So, Martin, if you're talking about absenteeism in Parliament, it's something that is not a topic we have to take lightly, because, you know, these people represent us, and whatever they do directly or indirectly affect or have an impact on us. So what we did was to give up or have a bird eye view of the general statistics of the MPs, how many were they, and we categorized them into NPP MPs, NDC MPs. So in all, you rightly said it, 28 in total that was published, and the NDC MPs are 17 and NPP MPs are 11. So we did the total days absent for the NDC, and we realized that out of these 17 people, they absented themselves 175 days in total. Yes. Collectively, if you add all of the days that these 17 MPs absented themselves. And for the NPP, they absented themselves 123 days. So if you look at the difference, you are talking about around 54 days between the NPP and the NDC. So the NDC MPs are absenting themselves more. And people will actually say that is because maybe they are in government. And you would have a breakdown of that. And we look at the top 5 MPs who absented themselves under each of the parties. And the average absence for every MP was 10.3 days for the NDC and 11.2 days for the NPP.
So now, if I'm understanding what you're saying, we have more NDC MPs absenting themselves more than MPP.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if you look at the highest absence, Honorable Christabel Atoforsen, the Finance Minister, has absented himself most when it comes to the NDC MPs. That's 17 days. And for the NPP, we have Joseph Frimpong, 22 days. Honorable Joseph Frimpong in Koko MP. And if you look at the breakdown, so let's come to the breakdown. Let's look at the top 5 for the NPP. So the first person for the NPP is Joseph Frimpong, 22 days, followed by Dr. Nana Ayu Efriye, 14 days, Kwabena Boateng, 13, Kwekua Jiman 11, and NS Yao Enim, 11. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The NDC MPs, first person on the list, Dr. Christabel Atoforsen, 17 days. Blay Nyameche Ama, that's second MP, 16 days. Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa, 14 days. Dr. Abdul Rashid Purple, the Minister for Labor, that's 13 days. And John Abdullahi Jinapo, 11 days. Now, the dynamics, this is where it gets interesting. If you look at the 5 NPs that I've mentioned from the NDC side, 4 of them are ministers.
Cabinet ministers.
They are cabinet ministers. Dr. Christabel Atoforsen, Finance, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa, Foreign Affairs, Rashid Purple, Labor, Dr. Abdullahi Jinapo, Minister for Energy. So if you look at these people, 4 of them are ministers. Now, why are we saying all this? This is very important because you quoted an article, Article 97(1)(c) of the Constitution, 1992 Constitution. I would like to read it briefly so that we understand the dynamics at play here. It said, a member of parliament shall vacate his seat in parliament if he is absent without the permission in writing of the speaker and he is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to the parliamentary committee on privileges from 15 sittings of a meeting of parliament during any period that parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet. So this is why this is very important. This is the law that backs it. And our people are calling for their automaticity they should vacate their seats, and that the law is automatic, such that if you absent yourself 50 days, automatically you should be to vacate your seat.
Seat should be declared vacant.
But others are also saying that these issues should be referred to the Privileges Committee.
Yeah, Thursdays, your English is slippery. Yes, Privileges Committee.
So that they will interrogate the issues further and see maybe they might have genuine reasons why they were absent, Martin.
All right, thank you very much. Wisdom Suffer with our research department here at Media General. Let's now go to the phone lines and speak to Nehemiah Atega, who is a principal lead at Parliamentary Monitoring Group, Odikro. Nehemiah, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Nehemiah Atega.
Okay, Nehemiah Atega. So, we know that it is not possible for MPs to turn up every time. That's why even the law says that if you want to be absent, it should be with permission. Some of them didn't hit the 15-day mandatory days out of office with permission, although they still didn't ask permission to be out of Parliament based on what we are hearing. But as the monitoring group, how rapid or how continuous is this issue of absenteeism in Parliament?
This is such a big deal. Since 2012, Odikro have monitored Parliament, including attendance and issued reports, including petitioning successive speakers to act. And yes, these reports have been treated with kid gloves. And so you notice that Parliament going ahead to publish this 28 MPs who have repeatedly missed sittings is more or less a wake-up call, not just for lawmakers or members of Parliament, but even for us as citizens, because attendance to Parliament is a ceremonial duty. It's the foundation of representation. Members of Parliament represent the people. And so when MPs are absent, it means our voices are absent from any form of decision-making, any form of oversight. And so while this organization is a positive step towards some sort of transparency, forces us to ask a critical question: will this lead to real accountability?
Are you still with us? Yes, the line is a bit cranky. Maybe we'll see if we can get a clearer connection. But while at that, let me try and see if you can hear this question, and maybe in your response, if the line is clear, we can continue. So we know that a number of these on the majority side, people are saying that you have the numbers. So what exactly is the concern for you not being in Parliament? And in fact, their absenteeism led to Parliament rising early or adjourning today. How concerning should it be? And do you think that punitive action should start? We should start applying some punitive action to those who actually do absent themselves without the requisite permission?
So the rule is pretty simple and it's fairly straightforward. The Order 16 of the Standing Orders and Order 17 is focused on leave of absence, which requires every member of Parliament to ensure that they write to the Speaker to be granted leave of absence. And so sufficient force justifying that absence, which takes its power from Article 978 clause 1C. Now, when you look at their standing orders, it says any member who is engaged on this rule shall have their conduct referred to the Privileges Committee. So it's almost even though the Constitution says they will lose their seat, the standing order says that you will be referred to the Privileges Committee. Now that committee will investigate the breaches of the privilege and contempt of Parliament, which would then lead to further disciplinary action. Now we've seen time and again members of Parliament have fallen awry to that clause in the Constitution. Most critically, what you are pointing to is an issue of having a number of MPs being ministers of state. And so if you look at the list, you are seeing the Minister of Finance, you are seeing the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and quite a number of them. And so the work we've done in the past always pointed to the fact that you had almost 51% of MPs who held ministerial positions significantly being absent and those without portfolios being a lower number. And so once you have a fusion of the arms of government, your legislature is fused into executive, one way or another, then you're going to have these situations. So you're going to have a situation where the person also has official duties as a minister of state to carry out. But that does not change the fact that that simple rule of being absent with permission should be upheld. And that is where you realize that you have lawmakers who are taking this for granted. In the past, what they were doing, some of them would go to the table office or even ensure that the clerk should mark them present, or they'll go in and be marked present and then they leave. But that is giving the system rather than truly representing the people who have elected you to go in there and represent them. And the other thing you could look at is party affiliation. You would notice that at any point in time, the party in opposition is more present than the party in government. Now, that's a thing that we find strange, because normally those who are first-time MPs tend to absent themselves. But this time around, you notice that the new MPs rather have been present, because they have been in Parliament for a while.
Yeah.
They are not distracted by any external.
Yes.
They tend to stay disciplined to what is required of them, because they created some sort of entrenched habits.
Okay.
Or they have leadership roles, and so they end up being much more present. But this time around, you notice that those who are seemingly absent are the ones who have been there longer, which is quite strange from our previous research that we.
And that's quite worrying as well. But Nehemiah, like they keep saying to, make them feel good, I'm sure. They say Parliament is a house of its own rules. So we'll see how they would implement their own rules in ensuring that they increase their presence to enact laws for all of us. Thank you for speaking to us this evening, Nehemiah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nehemiah Atiga is Principal Lead at Parliamentary Monitoring Group, ODICRO, and was talking to us about their continued absence. Well, that's the big issue. You have voted for them to go to Parliament. Some of them are deliberately staying out of Parliament to enact rules for you. What do you make of this? Do let us know in the comment section on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel as well. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hot Edition. Time now, though, for business.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming up tonight, Bank of Ghana dismisses claims of printing 4.58 billion cedis to fund government spending, labels circulating report as fake. I am Bismarck Kausa. This headline and other stories lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Bank of Ghana has dismissed as false reports suggesting that it printed 4.58 billion cedis in fresh notes in the first half of 2025 to support government spending without parliamentary approval. The central bank claims or says the claim, which has been widely shared as an artwork on social media, is fake and should be disregarded. According to the bank, no such monetary financing has taken place, and the report is a deliberate attempt to misinform the public and undermine confidence in the financial system. It has therefore urged Ghanaians to rely only on verified information published on its official platforms and to be cautious about false claims circulating online. Now, moving on, the Bank of Ghana says it expects inflation to decline even further by the end of 2025, following months of steady disinflation driven by a stronger cedi and disciplined policy management. Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama revealed that headline inflation dropped sharply to 9.4% in September from 23.5% at the start of the year, marking Ghana's first return to the central bank's target band of 8 plus or minus 2% in 4 years. He attributed the sustained decline to tight monetary policy, fiscal consolidation, and the cedi's strong performance, which has appreciated by more than 37% against the US dollar this year, making it sub-Saharan Africa's best performing currency, according to the World Bank.
In November 2022, the cedi depreciated by over 50%, becoming the world's worst performing currency, according to Bloomberg. And headline inflation spiraled to over 54%, and food inflation soared to an alarming 59.7% year on year. This was as of December 2022. This distorted household budgets, it shrunk incomes and fed public anxiety across the country. And through coordinated, difficult, but necessary policy actions, I'm happy to say that Ghana has turned a decisive corner. And indeed, the evidence is compelling. Headline inflation is now at 9.4%. as of September 2025, and we expect it to end the year even far lower.
And that was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, ending the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Also, for more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Andrew Sefa is here for sports. Please stay.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Andrew Sefa Bamfo. On Friday, the 2025-2026 Malta Guinness Women's Premier League will begin across the southern and the northern zones. A host of teams, including Azakes Ladies and Ammishaddai, will be competing for top honors. My colleague Akosieje looks ahead to the new season.
The rise of women's football in Ghana has been remarkable, especially in the last few years. Former Women's Premier League champions Azakes Ladies and Ammishaddai represented Ghana on the biggest stage of club football in Africa in recent years. But the progress hasn't been limited to the top sides alone. Even in the lower divisions, growth has been steady, with more spectators turning up and more talented players emerging. It's now common to see hundreds of fans thronging local parks to cheer on their favorite women's team. For many supporters, it's only fair that the women's game receives as much attention as the men.
Our ladies is doing well, so we have to come and support them.
And the ladies are playing football match here. I was so excited. So we expected that from next season to this, we bring all the leagues here so that we enjoy it.
We don't see much play when it comes to women football here. And I think it's just a couple of months that I've witnessed many women having a competition here.
This season, the Women's Premier League picks up from where it left off a few months ago. Faith Ladies and Berry Ladies have exited the Southern Zone, paving the way for Oaks FC and Samatex Ladies to make their debut appearances. In the Northern Zone, Supreme Ladies and Sunshining Ladies have been relegated, while Pelpia Ladies and Ashtown Ladies return to the top flight after a fiercely contested playoff. The Southern Zone will feature defending champions Police Ladies, Azakes Ladies, Halifax Queens, Epiphany Warriors, Army Ladies, Oaks Ladies, Joinina ladies, Soka intellectuals, Samatex ladies, and lady strikers. Meanwhile, the Northern Zone promises tough competition with Ampem-Dakwa ladies, FC Savannah, Present ladies, Northern ladies, Ashtown ladies, Kumasi Sports Academy, Dreams ladies, Tamale Super ladies, Fosu Royals, and Northern City all in contention. As Oaks FC prepare for their first ever season in the top division, head coach Mercy Tego said it will be a learning curve, but one filled with ambition.
In the first year in Premiership, it's like the girls are new. They need to study the terrain, understand, and know what it takes to remain there. One thing, qualifying to be in a Premiership. Another thing is maintaining sustenance in Premiership.
After a solid showing last season, Epiphany Warriors assistant coach Nana Kwame Abuaji looks ahead to their season opener against Army Ladies FC, hopeful of another strong campaign.
Our expectation so far is to do better than we did last season.
For the players, every match is about more than just the 3 points. It's about chasing their dreams and proving that they are indeed girls who can.
And so that was a report on the Malta Guinness Women's Premier League by my colleague Akosi Eje, bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition. The show continues after this.
Thank you for staying with us here on Hot Edition. My name is Christabel Success Treve. I did this with Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you for staying with us here. For more details, you can log on to 3news.com. Trigmatic and the rest of the team continues with 3FM Drive. Enjoy.